Hello, everyone. You should be able to see and hear me. I want to go ahead and make a disclaimer right away. You are listening to The Mary and Joe Show, but I am your host, MsChronicChronicles. This is a solo update. And of course, trigger warning, I may be talking about content you don't really want to hear about. So if at any time in this video it's just something you don't want to hear about, click off. You don't need to leave a negative comment. You don't need to give the video a thumbs down, but it does help the algorithm, I'll tell you that. Anyway, I'm going to roll up something so you get to hear some noise in the background. And if you're going to smoke with me, grab some of your Mary. Let's have a quick little Mary and Joe show. Just MsChronicChronicles hanging out with you guys. So, I haven't done a token talk in a little bit because I've been quite busy interviewing some very close friends of mine and some people I just really am inspired by and think that their stories needs to be told. So if you haven't been keeping up with me, well, let me just tell you, I've been keeping up with so many people lately that I'm just very proud that the podcast has been going as it has. I can say without a doubt, we have some good people coming the rest of the year. Next month, we have some people planned too. I'm not going to announce who yet. You'll have to watch out. Probably tomorrow there'll be some big announcements. But some of the people you guys know and some of the people you've never heard about. So if you haven't seen my most recent episodes, I'll just name a few. Shout outs to Seafowls the Carney. Shout out to 420 Chef Jalen Reeves. Shout out to Shay Jarker 86. Shout out to Poe, aka DJ Brex. Shout out to my goodness, Brittany, American to Mexican. That's what we'll call her. Hashtag free Brittany. Let me tell you, that's going to be some funny stuff. I don't even know why I didn't realize it till the end of my episode. That really her story does reflect being caged. Another Brittany that's been caged. And we have had Nadia Lockhart on, and we have some great people coming as well. So I don't want to give away too much, but I want you guys to check out the previous, I think, 6 episodes we've done so far in January related to Mary Can I Be Blunt. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, what is all this? Well, Mary and Joe Show has been around since 2018, and MsChronicChronicles has been around since 2012. So it makes sense for the proper evolution of this podcast to move in the direction that it is, where I am recording my own content and my own conversations with guests that I very much appreciate and can relate to, or some I can't relate at all. But everybody I've had on the podcast so far has been such a blessing to really be able to take their experiences and understand life a bit better, kind of reflect, have a good understanding of where all of us come from. We've been doing a lot of Northwestern interviews. I'll say that. We've got like 3 different people in Washington and Oregon area. 1 person in Mexico. We've got 1 person in Texas, and what else? We're going to be having a whole bunch more soon. So the reason that I took this podcast in the direction it needed to is that because some of the content that I was putting out on MsChronicChronicles, though I appreciate it being there too, there needed to be a little bit more oversight on what I was posting for the clips. So I didn't want to put them all on the same channel. Wanted to make sure they had their own podcast, own platform, even literally own URL. So Mary Can I Be Blunt does have its own URL. It's a stem off though from the main podcast. So with that being said, it is absolutely going to keep progressing. I think so far this standard how I've been doing things seems to work out so much better for me to upload and whatnot, but staying on top of things, I've been living off of a schedule, guys. Like, it's not possible for me to wing it unless my interviewers have to reschedule, and then I got to wing it. But most of the time lately, I've been like writing giant notepads for myself and trying to keep up. Now, the clipping of the videos that I have already done, the podcasts I've already released, actually, as of today until the 20th, I'm kind of going to be in the dark. If I come on anybody's live, then that shows a lot of love because I'm going to be focused on cutting up and curating what I can for the next few days. I have some pre-interview questions I'll be sending to some of you folks. You know who you are. And as I said, as of tomorrow, I'll start releasing new people that I'll be interviewing and getting you guys up to speed with the schedule. I've lately just been posting when I have a solid date. The people, other than if I just post you guys and we don't have a solid date, it kind of makes it like get lost in translation. And frankly, I kind of am wanting to post the promo notifications for my guest either a few days before or the day of, so that it kind of keeps it fresh in the mind. Of course, I'll always give you guys sneak peeks, like behind the scenes, sharing with you guys what I'm doing. But we'll say that I will start doing more interviews as of the 25th. So we have a couple of days that I'm going to take off so I can focus on what I've planned to do. Because so far I've only kind of done the intros. And I did a few of Shade Darker, 86, who's a great musician and a unique individual all around. Great story as well. And then Seafowls, there's so much to clip from his interview. I have some great people been reaching out to be interviewed as well. So that will be happening. It's just got to happen in the right time. So behind the scenes, let's say, I've got a good balance going on, but making sure that I don't overwhelm myself or overbook is pretty important. Today was supposed to just be clipping and whatnot, but my interview, we had to run it into the next day because of data issues and time. So I had such a good conversation. Excuse me, I have hiccups. Such good conversation with Brittany, my old friend. Some of the things we share in that episode are pretty personal to us, and I know you guys are respectful, so I have no fear. But let's put it like this. We had to really be careful of what we said because we didn't want to offend anyone. And these are people we really do love that we mentioned. And some of the listeners, they may be listening right now, that are mentioned in that podcast. We did our best to not disclose their names, but by the end of it, we said their names. But there's so many different J's in the world, and T's and F's and P's. So, you know, it really didn't matter. We were okay. I think we skipped up one time with our little code word for shopping carts. If you don't know what that is, then you'll need to go check out the episode to understand. I'm really glad that I had her bravery to talk about a lot of the subjects we did, because she's the first guest I've had now to discuss meth in such detail, being addicted and finding herself having to literally run out on her old life through jumping out of a window to get away from a circumstance and the people that made it so hard for her to quit. That's saying so much. If I had not been so I honestly believe there's a high probability I might have gotten into it. But my friends were such, like, it's, when I look back at everything, when I had heard that there was drug abuse going on in our friends, I just didn't believe it fully. And, you know, you hear the stories after they're already in the worst of their worst. And in some ways, I kind of felt back in the past, like, could I have helped? But there was, like, as my guest, my guest that I had on today in our part 2, I mean, there's just so much we couldn't really change. It had to progress the way it did. Now, if circumstances could have been different, then maybe locations should have been different. Maybe we shouldn't have had some people living with some people, or access to be so available, you know. But then when we look back at time, of course we regret some things, but really the lesson was solid, because I can positively say I'm so grateful for the friendships I've had. I'm so grateful that they're still around. Nobody's passed away from fentanyl, thank God, out of my close friends. But meth addiction did exist back in Orange County. It was a problem, slowly but surely. I think I remember it more so being, I'll have to confirm with some of the friends I have, but that we um had talked on. I wonder if it was the rave scene that introduced so much to our friends, because that's the only place it really came from, was partying. We weren't, the pill parties and whatnot happened after people were going to raves. And drinking was more so like college style drinking. It wasn't like build an alcoholic within all of us. If anything, I was the one, if we look back, who was so advocating parties. I'm the one who was always the cannabis pro parties, though. So when I do look back, I go, well, could I have really deterred anybody? I mean, if anything, I'm grateful I didn't get in the clinches of it as well. I can remember 3 different occasions, 3 different parties I went to that heavy drugs were available. And I left right as soon as they started their taking. And some of the hosts that were there didn't even take the hard drugs. So it was kind of like, and I say hard drugs like cocaine and Molly or meth, or even the addictions we talked about in the episode related to deaths that happened among friends who had overdosed with heroin. The interview was almost 5 hours long because we had a 2.5 hour long and then a 2 hour long. So it was a really long conversation of really deep intellectual coming together. I totally believe it was a refreshing look back on our 20s and a really clear mind of our 30s. And I think a lot of you guys, when you listen, you will understand, at least from the American to Mexican episode and the Nadia Lockhart episode, will understand me as Miss Chronic Chronicles a bit better. Of like, maybe I seem like I have not experienced too many things too graphic in my life. I would say I have definitely dodged some bullets. But if you listen to both of those particular episodes, both particular interviews, you will understand that I suppress a lot of pain and I suppress a lot of my past, that I try to really understand why I accepted choices like that and why I still do. And I will say quite literally, I've slept a little bit better the last few days because I did have the interview with Nadia and said the things I needed to. And it wasn't something I'm ashamed of, and it's really not a secret to anybody who watched the Nadia episode that I have been experiencing the film industry in many different ways for a long ass time. Like I said initially in that interview, I was planning to go be like an extra on movies and stuff like that to just make money. I never had any desire to like be a movie star, but I was attempting to get into the industry because that's where money was. The industry of actors and the adult industry too, potentially. And I really cannot divulge too much into all of that. If you want to know more, go check out that podcast because there's a lot in it. But I would say to give you guys a nice taste of the truth is abuse can make you do a lot of different things to heal yourself. And I definitely have healed myself through accepting what I can change and letting go of what I cannot. And I don't regret that. I will never regret that. But being able to be honest with myself and with you guys, the listeners and the supporters on my channel, the collaborative efforts I have on here with all of you wonderful people and your stories. I very much respect the struggles each of you have went through. And if you don't believe me, just keep going and seeing what I'm going to be doing here. I will honor the voices who come onto my podcast, and I will respect the people who choose to allow me to share it. So I want to make that really fucking clear. It's really been a very healing process, I'd say, the last 2 weeks. It kind of filled in the blanks, I'd say, today too, because concluding the episode we did, American to Mexican, with Brittany, I really, I never saw the situation as dire as it was back then. They were hiding it from me. So, I mean, I can really remember people saying, Rachel is mother hen. We can't let her know. Because I cared too much, I would have not let them. They would have cut me out their life. If they found out that I had known, I would have been cut out. But because I didn't know, and I could still treat them like the individuals I knew they were, I didn't treat them any differently. I really wonder if that's why some of our friendships, even though I was confused for a while, what was going on with their health and their welfare, each of them, you will understand when you listen to the podcast. I think Brittany really helped me remind myself today that we were the lone wolves back in the day. She said quite literally that she could be alone and she's used to being alone. And that's something that's kind of, it's a powerful, and it's also, it's a really good time to reflect when you are alone. You can really, really reflect. And we're strong individuals. Like, she's found herself a great relationship and she's happy where she's at. I, on the other hand, don't need a relationship. I have plenty of relationships in my life and don't feel any wow factor yet in my life right now. So when you see the episode, you'll kind of understand what we're talking about in this little moment here. But you could say that my perspective has really grown over the years to understand that I'm really, like, as if in her situation, she has no children, but is totally okay and fine with, if her life, she doesn't have that, or maybe she'll adopt one day, or who knows what, right? So here I am. When I started YouTube, I didn't think I was going to have a child. I didn't think I was, you know, all of the things. My life has progressed in so many different directions. I never really even knew back in California, you could tell me that I was going to live in Colorado again, and I would laugh in your face and say, that is just a boring place. I'm the most happiest in a very rural area versus a big city. I do not wake up any day of my life since I moved away and say I miss a big ass city. Nope, I don't. I don't miss the sounds. I don't miss the drama. I will take my long drives versus the other drama. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's California as a whole, or if it was just Los Angeles that maybe pushed me to be so anti big city. But what I did realize is that I don't regret the experiences I had in those big cities, because I would probably feel the yearning to be in a big city if I hadn't worn it out. I mean, I can actually say right here on this podcast here, which I didn't say on hers, but on Brittany's, but that I remember, like, I know you guys understand this. When you go away from your hometown and then you come back, maybe you're vacationing out of state, and you come back, usually out of state is my point. You come back, you get home, you take a shower in your own home with your water, and just the state's water touching your body, just that, the earth of where its location is. Like, I can remember coming back from Texas one time to go um to California. I had flown out there, and when I flew back, um it was like taking a shower in my own house was just the nicest thing because I wanted the California water, which seems so fucking strange to you guys, but unless you understand your own city, where there's just that familiarity, the the smells, the sounds, the way that the sun just makes these beautiful smog sets is the way I used to put it. When I look back at all the time that I spent on the 9 years that I was in California, I'm grateful for all of it, but it was a very hard place to live financially. You it cost a lot to survive. And we were talking about the standards of living versus $1,200 a month and you are homeless and you are considered homeless at that rate because there's no place for you to live. Why do we question why there's so many tents on the street all over the freaking United States? Because it's not affordable to live in America anymore. I hate to put it like that, guys. I'm not even being dramatic about it. It's actually facts. The guest that I had today really put things such in perspective. And what I also did realize is that in many shapes and forms, our police force coming and getting out of control is very similar to the Mexican police, which I didn't realize. And what happens when that happens? When there's disorder, that means the country's falling apart. The country's been falling apart, guys. But if you don't recognize that little aspect of it, we knew that the police were corrupt. We already knew that in Mexico. We knew that. But do we really think about our own backyard? I think we act more so like British um, police forces where there's some that work really hard and try to do their job, but really have not a whole lot of control to what they can do. Right? Right. British forces. And then you have the other side of the coin, which is so similar to the Mexican police forces, where you have brutality, you have corruption, we have mismanagement and authority all over the fucking place. So that was kind of eye opening that, like, you know what? If anything, is it who is the leader of the ignorance? Is it really just, I mean, just there is no reform anywhere, really? That's what it comes down to. And I'm not somebody who's all about control. Believe me, guys, you know that about me. But I guess stepping back and realizing that we really are on our own again, guys. It's the Wild West of America again, sort of. If you really think about how this is all kind of playing out, I mean, we have injustice left and right. Yet we have sex workers paying, as in the Nadia Lockhart interview was such a good conversation about how workers are having to pay into taxes, yet your body isn't technically yours and you can't use it as a commodity. Yet you're a sex worker if you show it in a picture form, or a stripper. Don't touch the body of the stripper, but maybe in the back alley there potentially is extra happy endings. I mean, it's just, why is the sex industry, seriously at this point being used to control women? That's really what it boils down to. We're allowing the black market to take over in different forms and fashions to control women. Because if we think about it, the hand in hand goes, well, if you see and hear the podcast related to the American to Mexican, what we discussed was the shopping carts and the fentanyl over problem, let's put in America. And we were talking about quality, supply and demand, trafficking, and how it's just not even a thing to grow in Mexico either. So I say all these little trigger clickbait moments because I really encourage you guys to go listen to the two podcasts I've mentioned. I also want to say that Shade Darker 86, shout outs to you. Thank you for putting the time into our interview as well, because I think he really did paint a picture of how culturally, there is still some differences of respect out there when it comes to different cultures, and we all take a little of something from somewhere, which I was also surprised about, that my friend Brittany had grown up a little tiny bit in Missouri, had lived in Missouri a little bit. Man, Missouri just seems to be a sentence in everybody's mouth out here. One way, shape, or form. Yeah, I'm going to have a couple of days to reflect, I think, and to really take in how lucky I am, I'll say that, to know all of you out there, to be able to share a lot of the amazing. I mean, even down to seafowls and the analogies that we talked about Juggalo life. Man, that has really hit a nerve. For a couple of days now, I've been like, that is such a good interview, because we really did touch on the core of cliquish tribalism, respecting others so fucking much. It's just like people are in bubbles, and I feel like that's why I really look forward to this podcast, to popping some bubbles and teaching some people a little bit about others. Now, I'm learning here that, I already knew I didn't know everything. Even when it comes down to, that there's just so many wonderful topics to bring up, stories to keep telling. And as I said earlier in this podcast, I'm just kind of updating you guys on some thoughts I've been having. In this next few days, I'm going to be cleaning up my house, so I feel a little bit better too. And I'll be taking some notes to maybe come back on here as another token talk. Even though this is not a live token talk, I really just wanted to throw some thoughts out there. I'm sure I'm going to offend some of you guys, and I just want you to understand that I know my opinions are not yours, all of them, but I would really hope that you're an adult enough to respect other people's opinions and beliefs and experiences, because all that happens under the vice that you are a listener. So don't come in here and project if ultimately I trigger you in any video I've released or podcast I've put out. If you don't agree with our opinions from whatever guest I may have interviewed or my views alone, please respectfully keep your negativity to yourself. It's not needed to drop it like a shit pile in my living room to smell. You can easily unsubscribe if it's just not the kind of content you want to listen to. But I can guarantee you on MsChronicChronicles, the content's going to continue to evolve. I can promise you on Mary Can I Be Blunt, it will trigger you. Those will be clips and moments of clarity that I will be sharing with my awesome guests, exclusive interviews, full interviews on that channel too. So if you understand, I am curating to the best of my ability parts and features on that particular podcast. Not every full episode will be uploaded on Mary Can I Be Blunt, but clips will always be posted there. Along with the Mary and Joe Show, I will do my best to get the YouTube channel more up to speed. It's been really hard for me to upload. I don't know why. It's just I have to make sure that the next time I do a live, I will include the Mary and Joe Show and Mary Can I Be Blunt, and then just privatize those videos and work with them. What I was almost thinking I was going to do is make them live on one or the other, and then the other that it would feature, that it was initially live, I will edit down the live to maybe feature the best part, and then clip out and feature on the Mary Can I Be Blunt. So it'd be like a very exclusive, shorter version of the full episode on that channel. And then on the on the Mary and Joe Show, it'd be the full episode. And then on the Mary Can I Be Blunt, you'll have smaller clips. So there won't be a lot of clips or any of that on the Mary and Joe Show for YouTube, but for the Instagram, both of those Instagrams, Mary and Joe Show and Mary Can I Be Blunt, will have continual clips and features and posts. Now on Miss Chronic Chronicles on Instagram, what I have been lately doing is just focusing on keeping you guys up to date. If there's going to be an interview I think you guys should watch out, or if there's some amazing new release I need to share with you guys, or pictures and stuff like that. And on the podcast, if you're a listener, then you will know that I usually give myself notes through the actual podcast and yell at myself and say, you should add this post and feature this post. So for instance, I'll be from the Nadia Lockhart interview. There are some videos that I mentioned that are on my YouTube channel that I will be screenshotting and putting on Instagram and probably TikTok as well. So TikTok's going to be revamped. If you're not following me on TikTok, shame on you. But there's always going to be different stuff there, not just music stuff. I've even been posting updates when I have been having a break, trying to get to keep everything in a circle. It's like one account helps another account, and then the tags, that's going to start happening a lot more, where I actually am hashtagging. The Mary Can I Be Blunt intros that I have released for all of my guests so far are just the soft release, so you guys understand the voice, the interest, maybe a little bit about the guest, kind of get all of you excited. So I can't thank Seafowls enough, and Breaking Fetters, and Progressive Patriot, and Pooh, aka DJ Brex, and Brennan, thank you so much for your support, and Heather, and Paranormal Vibes Girl. And I mean, there's just so many people who have been sharing out the videos and given this podcast and my channel so much love. You don't know how much it helps keep the morale here, and all of the guests feel the love they should. So I really, really want to thank each of you guys for your support. I could say it one time, but that's not the thing. I keep wanting to tell you guys thank you because it's the facts. I'm so gracious for all of you taking the time when you do to come listen to these long podcasts. Oh, big shout out to Bass Girl. Thank you, Bass Girl, for all of your awesome motivation and input the other day. Um, I have to say that she had said something to the extent of that these are very compelling interviews that need to be said, need to be out there, and that she thinks I'm a very good speaker. And I was like, thank you, and a good interviewer. And I was like, thank you, because I judge myself way more than others. And so to hear that from you guys, just, it really liberates me and reminds me that I'm not wrong. This is all meant to be. It feels so second nature to me. So I can only say that I know I'm doing good things because it definitely feels right. And I can only see respect come from all this. You know, I understand some of you guys will not understand people's interviews, and that's okay. Like Nadia's and my friend Brittany's, I was expecting these two interviews to probably be the hardest ones to convey without really taking the time. So I can't thank my two exclusive interviews, Nadia and Brittany, for taking the time to share in detail as they have. So, the next few days, I think I will be having my son in an after school program, which he's at right now. That's how I was able to do this interview earlier, and to follow it up with a hello with you guys. So I kind of have like a little bit of extra time at the end of the day. I'm not sure on that, but we'll find out schedule wise. Maybe I can come on a live tomorrow or soon. No promises, soon. And just catch up with all of you. But for the next few days, I want to get down to business, do the clipping that I know needs to be clipped. I have so many moments that need to be clipped, and expect it to constantly be flowing in different ways. So, you know, I might even mention it on a live, say, hey, you guys missed something. Let me go show you. And I might showcase it on MsChronicChronicles. You never know. But Mary Can I Be Blunt is a very big passion project. And the Mary and Joe Show is my heart. MsChronicChronicles, I'm just the host, sharing my life, giving you guys a platform, seeing what's out there that's positive and making it as big and bright as I can. And, you know, if you have my support, that says a lot, because I don't waste my time anywhere that it isn't fucking either welcomed or appreciated. I'll put it like that. So if you guys show me respect, I show you respect. That's the way it should be. But without further ado, let me go ahead and encourage you guys to go check out the podcast. I'm going to link Spotify and iTunes and also Pandora underneath. It will be in my description area of this video, but it will also be in the link tree that I'll provide. So go check that out. Go follow me on Instagram, MsChronicChronicles, The Mary and Joe Show, and Mary Kenneby Blunt. You can find all those below in the link tree. And yeah, there's a lot coming. A whole lot coming, guys. And just for context, I have not released the video version of the podcast that I did today and yesterday. They will be uploaded hopefully later tonight. When I uploaded Nadia's, that was 6 hours, almost a 6-hour live, or recording, excuse me. It took almost 12 hours to get up fully. So, because this is a 5-hour that I need to technically put up in 2 parts, it could take a little bit, but I will keep you guys posted. Check out the community post in YouTube so that you can keep up to speed with what I am posting. Yeah. And if you would like to be featured on the Mary and Joe Show, Mary Can I Be Blunt, send me an email at marycanibeblunt@gmail.com. I'm going to put it below. And yeah, lots more is coming. I've talked a lot today. I think I'm going to go. I got to go pick up my kid now. He's at a Lego Adventures class, which I think is pretty freaking fabulous because we don't need Legos in this house like that. We just don't. We don't. My son's 7, but we don't need Legos like that. So supposedly this class he's taking, it's going to be like great because he can work as a team. It helps kind of like your motor skills, your communication skills, and your co-social networking. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to share along the way how that goes, if it's any fun. Hopefully they're doing big projects. I don't know. All right, guys, have a good day, night, wherever you're at. And when you watch this, please let me know in the replay section, hashtag replay gang. And yeah, I have a lot of big things going on in the background. Just keep yourselves up to speed through all the link tree and everything else that I mentioned. And I appreciate all of you. I'll be making announcements very, very soon about some other platforms we'll be featuring the podcast on as well. But today I'm going to leave you with all of this. So I'll talk to you all very, very soon. Have a good day, night, wherever you're at. Bye.